Welcome to another edition of the College Talk Podcast, part of the Ollie Reed Sports Podcast Network. And we're pleased to be joined by West Virginia head men's basketball coach Ross Hodge, the first head coach to join the Ollie Reed Sports Podcast program. So, Coach, it is a true honor to have you on the show. Happy to have you here.
Happy to be here, man. Happy to be here. Thank you.
Absolutely. It's like I said before, it's an honor to have you on here. And speaking of the point of honor Huff. First things first. Definitely want to talk about him. That's the first question I wanted to get to. Actually, you've had a lot of great point guards over the past. But just kind of talk about how Honor Huff has transitioned from beginning of last June to now.
Yeah, no, he's special player, special person. Had one of the best individual seasons in Mountaineer basketball history. And if you think about the greats that have put on this uniform, um, again, what he did, what he meant for this program and university and state, and to do it with the level of like class as a human being on top of being an incredible player was really awesome to see. And I think he's the perfect embodiment of what we want to do, and this is a time period in college athletics where you're going to have some comings and goings, and players and people are going to kind of come into our life and out of our life, and college athletics can be viewed as very transactional. But I still think even in short amount of times, there's ways that you can connect your team to the fan base, to the state of West Virginia, and have them feeling like there was a deeper connection than someone just coming up to play basketball. And I thought Honor really did that off the floor. And then if you talk about, again, broke the school record for threes in an individual season, and really evolved as a playmaker as the year went on. And as defenses tried harder to stop him, he became a better passer. Got a ton of hockey assists. They don't have those in basketball, but in the game of hockey, they can give two assists on a goal, and a lot of times Honor would give up the ball with two people on him, and then they would make the one more, and he really started the whole thing, and not to mention how much better he became defensively. So just yeah, special person, special performance, and very thankful that he helped get this thing started. And the cherry on the top was, the game he had in the Crown Championship. And I don't know if y'all saw this stat floating around, but he's won the most games ever in April as a college basketball player with the highest winning percentage. He's 5-0 in the month of April.
Wow.
And there's a couple other guys that are 5-1. I think the uh the shooter for UConn, Caravan, had a chance to tie it, but they ended up getting beat in the
Yeah.
in the championship game. So uh, just a special performance by him, special year.
Yeah, and coach, I just wanted to say once again, it's an honor to have you on here today, and we really appreciate you for being on here. But I just have a question myself. So, you spent time at North Texas under current Texas Tech head coach Grant McCasland, and during your time at North Texas, just talk about what you learned from Coach McCasland and how you've used that today.
Yeah, Coach Mack, him and I were both very young junior college coaches, and that's where our path initially crossed. And we were just two young guys trying to figure out the business. I mean, I think he got the Midland Junior College coaching job when he was 28, 29. I got the Paris Junior College coaching job when I was 24. And so we were just young guys trying to figure it out, became really good friends. And, the thing I respect about Coach Mack just about more than anything is not only does he talk about his faith, but he lives it, and he lives it in a meaningful way. And have so much respect for him as a man as much as I do as a basketball coach. And he's a tremendous basketball coach. And I think the one thing that I learned from him more than anything during our time together, and again, won championships, had some incredible highs, lows, and you're doing life with somebody. And the belief component that he injects into a locker room is something that I always admired, and I've tried to replicate that through the way we do things, and believing that we can, win national championships here at West Virginia, and stepping into a floor, no matter who it's against or where it is or who it is, that you can win that game, and there's a way to win each game, and you got to try to find a way to do it. But I would say that's his biggest strength. He's a great coach, X's and O's, but his ability to transfer his belief into his locker room is as good as anybody in college basketball.
And then speaking of Grant McCaslin, I mean, there's been so many coaches in this sport that have produced immense talent at the mid-major level and made it into the Power Five coaching gigs. And speaking of other than McCaslin, Dusty May, who was also in the same conference as North Texas, he just winning a national championship at Michigan. Just what's it been like? What's the transition been going from the mid-major coach from North Texas to your first full year at West Virginia?
Yeah, I think anybody that makes these transitions would tell you that probably the biggest fundamental change for a coach going from that level to this level is the amount of external uh, pull that you have on your time away from just coaching basketball. When you make the jump, obviously you're playing against great coaches, great players. In my opinion, the Big 12 is the best basketball conference in the country. And so, yeah, you're playing against great players, great coaches, but there's great coaches and great players at all levels across the sport. And that's not to minimize what the coaches in the level here in the Big 12, Big 10, SEC, but like I said, there's Hall of Fame coaches at the junior college level that people wouldn't know, but I know, and I played against them, and I can tell you they're every bit as good as the guys at this level. They just didn't get the shot at this. So basketball's basketball, but when you get to these levels, the amount of external pull away from your program to do the things necessary, do cool things like this, like talk to you guys, and so just, being efficient with your time, managing your time. Obviously, we have a great staff here that helps run the things when I'm not around, and just making sure you don't lose sight of the main thing. And the main thing is your players and your team, while making sure you're touching everybody and doing the things that you need to do to promote your program. And again, in a situation like West Virginia, you are not just representing your university and your basketball program, you're representing an entire state, and that's not something that I take lightly.
Yeah, and I'm happy that you understand the importance of representing the state of West Virginia. Like you said, it's not just a university, but it's representing 1.8 million people every night you're out there. So you talk a lot about bringing guys in with winning experience, and you emphasize a lot about it. Just talk about the importance of that to you.
Yeah, you're in the time period we're in, man, you're gonna have turnover, and it's I think the hard part is for a fan base is it's tough. It's a tough time for a fan base because you do get emotional connections with players, and then they're gone, and it's hard not to take it personal if and when they do leave. But a lot of times it's not personal. There's other layers to it. There's other factors, and it's not like people even have bad experiences. It used to be indicative of that. If players were leaving, it's like, oh man, they must not like it there, or they must not like the coach. And now you can have players that love it and love the coach, and for whatever reason, it is similar to a pro model, and people have to leave for different reasons, and sometimes it's financial, sometimes it's not, and I think you got to be careful trying to guess why people may be leaving in this time period. And with that being said, you're going to be incorporating new groups together, and so getting people that have won or experienced winning, they usually have some similar characteristics: sacrifice, willingness to buy into something bigger than themselves. And so you're not having to teach people how to win necessarily. You're just teaching them how we're going to win together. And so if you can kind of skip one little step of that, it can help you It's not always the case, but in some cases it can help.
Yeah, and speaking of that, you guys just won the Crown Championship in Las Vegas just a couple weeks ago, but then just a couple of days after, you automatically go to the portal. So how what's the transition like? This going off of such a big high of winning the Crown Championship, just to fully transitioning to going into the portal and focusing on next year.
Yeah, and again, it's fortunately, have a good staff. I mean, Johnny Estelle, Jace Hurl, Phil Forte, Mike Randall, Yusuf Ali, Andre Shaw, um, Sean McClurg, and that's not even to mention the GAs, the student assistants. So,
Right.
we were, prepared for that, as much as you can be. I don't know if you're ever really fully prepared for the chaos that's about to ensue, but in a lot of cases you are, and there hasn't been many surprises, whether it's been with our own roster or the things that we thought, like you're prepared for it, you're ready for it, and again, efficiency is key, and how quickly and how efficient can you move forward with the rules in place. And to your point, yeah, you leave Vegas on a Monday morning after being out there for 6 days, and a day later you're full steam ahead with Zooms and calls and trying to manage your own roster and manage the new roster and everything else in between.
Yeah, and just talk about something that you were unfamiliar with about the Big 12 and the style of play going into the season that you really got a hold on and got a grip on after the season that you learned about the Big 12.
Yeah, I think it was more reinforcements than it was learning specifically. Again, I grew up in Big 12 country. I grew up in Texas. Been watching Big 12 basketball my whole life. I've been a fan of it when it was the Big Eight, back in the day, and even some of those schools when it was the Southwest Conference back in the day. Texas OU, Oklahoma, Arkansas, and then just with some of my really good friends moving forward ahead of me into the league, obviously keeping up with them, and so I knew what I was getting myself into before I got into it. Like, nothing really shocked me or surprised me. I mean, again, the best players in the country, the best coaches in the country, the best venues in the country. Um, you knew night in, night out, it was just going to be a dogfight. And, probably what you can't fully anticipate is the travel. That's probably one thing when you say, hey, what'd you learn? What are some things y'all figured out this year? Some of those 9 p.m., 9:15, 9:30 tips in Morgantown, that were national TV games that you kind of had to. I think we learned about those and how to navigate that day, because it's a long day to get there. And again, you're going to Arizona and playing 4 days, 2 games in 5 days on a West Coast trip, and you're flying back Saturday night and you're playing Tuesday night at home. And just the travel piece of it and how to make sure you're mentally and physically ready for the next game is definitely something you got to go through to learn. But as far as the play itself, man, I anticipated the best, and we got it.
And speaking of, definitely want to mention the JUCO route that you were at whenever you were a player at Paris Junior College, played there, and then you ended up becoming the coach there for a while. What was one of your best memories as coming up as a JUCO coach, and some of the best memories that you had as a player?
I think, as a player, just the bonds that you created with those guys, no different than now. I mean, it was such a pure time period of college athletics. You're away from home for the first time, in the junior college level. A lot of guys from a lot of different walks of life, and you know, going together and trying to figure out a way to reach your ultimate goal, which was playing at the Division 1 level, Division 2 level. And still have some really good relationships with those guys now, and some of my teammates from that level. And then as a coach, the same thing, just helping it's different now. Obviously now you're trying to help players reach the highest level of professional that they can and impact their life in a meaningful way. At that point in time, you were trying to help them reach their ultimate goal of getting to a Division I level and pouring into them at a very impressionable time in their life, them being away from home for the first time, a lot of them, and helping them become, you know, transition from high school kids to a younger men to laying the bricks and the foundations for their manhood.
That's awesome. And, I think sometimes that part gets overlooked, transitioning from high school into college. Like you said, a lot of them's away from home for the first time, and you gotta, it's a cultural shock for some.
It
So,
is.
yeah. So just during this past season, though, your team had to play two of the potential top two overall picks in this year's NBA draft with Darren Peterson and AJ DeBansto. Just talk about your guys' goals going into those games and how you wanted to match up with them.
Yeah, those guys are such good players, and not to mention Kingston Fleming and Koa Pede and Braxton Burries and Abuka Okori, who we played in the Crown. I mean, just some incredible young talent. And Jagger, what you're trying to do, in my opinion, anytime you're playing great players like that, you're not going to stop them. You're not going to shut great players down. But what you really want to try to do is make them as inefficient as possible and just make them work. And in those games against those guys, in particular the games we won, I mean, I think AJ got to 20 or 21 or 22, which is about what his average was, but he had 1 assist and 4 turnovers. So you made him work. And same thing with Peterson. He had a great first half. I think he ended up with, again, probably right around his average, but could you make him inefficient? Could you make him work? Could you make it hard on him? And that's all you're trying to do when you're playing the greats. You're not stopping a great player. You're trying to minimize the damage that they do and make them work for what they're getting and don't give them easies. I thought we did that well in the matchup in Morgantown against BYU. Flip it to the conference tournament, we did not do it well. We turned the ball over way too many times. You put him in the open floor, and once you put a talent like that in the open floor, like, the odds are not in your favor.
And then speaking of high talented freshmen, you got one coming in yourself and Miles Sadler coming in next season. Already is a 2-time national champion this year, won the EYBL Scholastic League, and then won the Chipotle Nationals with Bella Vista Prep. Let's talk about Miles Sadler coming in to next season and what do you expect from him and just your thoughts on him overall as a player.
Yeah, I mean, just again, his belief is special, and his belief. I mean, again, you're talking about a program that he helped start from the ground up. I mean, he was on the ground up of that CIA Bella Vista team, and I think I don't want to spit misinformation, but their first year wasn't great, and he just stayed the course and learned and grew, and then grew that thing into a national champion. And he has the ability, which all great players do, is he makes other people around him better. And he has the confidence, the work ethic, and the belief when his best is required, he can be at his best. And just been fun to watch him. Like you said, it was an awesome time with our crown run, kind of coincided with their run to winning the Chipotle National Championship, and we were able to watch some of those games in the team room during the day. And it's been really fun to see his growth and maturity as a player this year. And he's just getting started, really. And his belief in this program and what we can do here is when you get that belief from a player and you get the belief in the coaching staff and it all aligns and syncs up, that's when great things happen.
Jay, you got anything?
I'm good. I think I got all mine out of the way.
All righty. Well, I do have one last question, though. Just the last thing I want to mention is in this state of West Virginia, is primarily in high school athletics. There's a lot of kids that get overlooked here in this state, and there's a lot of great players here. So, but it's just like that almost in every state. But in West Virginia, I feel like primarily we don't really get looked nationally. So from a recruiting standpoint, what is some advice that you would give to a recruit that is wanting to play at this level? I know there's some kids out there that could play at this level, but them that's trying to grow into the Power Five to get to a West Virginia.
Yeah, I would just say stay the course. Stay the course. Continue to work. Don't let people put limits on you and limit what you can and what you can't do. Again, you got to believe in yourself, and sometimes everybody's race is a little different, and you got to run your race. Don't try to run other people's race. Run your race. Work hard. Believe in yourself, and ultimately you can end up in places that maybe other people didn't think you were capable of, and it could be in different paths. I mean, again, I'm a living embodiment and a living testament to, I was a junior college player. I played at a Division II school, started as a junior college assistant, junior college head coach, and now have the opportunity and wake up every day thankful and grateful to be in the position that I am, to coach at a university with so much tradition. And so that's what I would tell young players, man. Don't let people put limits on you. And work and keep your head down and keep grinding. And you do not know where this game can take you. It can take you to a lot of cool places.
I know, and it's just talking about this, the limits. I mean, I feel like in this day and age, in this generation, I feel like, people want to put labels on you. I mean, and in this generation, you just gotta people just gotta push through it, and because just know your worth, being successful, and because God's got a plan, and
Absolutely.
He has a plan for everybody. So, Coach Hodge, it's been an honor. Appreciate you being on the show. I know how busy you are, and it's just been a fun year, just watching you guys play this year, and looking forward to seeing what next year has to come, and just looking forward to staying connected with you along the way.
Yeah, likewise, man. And like I tell our players, somebody's got to be first, man. And so somebody's got to be first to believe in the vision. And I'm honored and thankful to be the first head coach you guys have had. And we'll look back on this in 5-10 years from now, and it'll be cool to look back on it. So I appreciate it.
Yes,
For
sir.
sure. Absolutely. Thank you so much, guys.